Okay, let's see what we got. So we're just waiting on some peeps to jump in. I gotta get a good understanding of StreamYard because it's a little bit harder to get it pre-set up like you're used to with like OBS. But I'm a noob to StreamYard, so there's probably a better way of getting things set up. We have about 4 people in here. What's up, Noah? How you doing, man? Otto, how you doing, man? Ondo Poncho. Maria, what's up? Heath, Wonderbar. Oh man. All right. We got some peeps in here, so we can start looking at some stuff. Yeah, we had some questions about the signal that I gave inside of the inside of the Discord. So we're gonna go over in detail like why we took the short and why we have the target that we do. I saw you in target. What? Hit? I didn't understand that. Okay. Moose Juice, how you doing, man? Moo Juice. Moo Juice. Uh, Forget about it. I got a big party here. Yeah, we're live right now between like YouTube and X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. To USDT, really, bro. All right, cool. So right now, where Bitcoin is resting, is we're at the like active point of control. I've got a level marked as well up here at 105,769 that could also evolve to be the point of control again because it only take a little bit of volume here for it to evolve to this point, but it's not very relevant. We're currently in a downtrend within the active range. We just recently tapped the valley area low, but we are double topping off the active point of control, and we're getting a little bit of pullback, testing the VWAP again. If we get that lower low, we'll probably get that full rotation back down to the valley area low. We have uptrending interest. So we have people undercutting each other in the order books right now. So we're here. We have uptrending level of support. So we could anticipate a potential squeeze, but it's going to be within the range. Where our apex point is right here. It meets tomorrow at noon. So we might see a decrease in volume around that time. Let's see what happens. But what I would prefer to just if we just went down and swept some liquidity down here around the point of control and wait for that posing change of character, we could have a pretty decent long position to the valley area high again. We have a lot of liquidity starting to stack above us, which is kind of nice. So it gives us more reason to go up soon. But I think based on the current bias of the structure that we've got going on, that we're going to go down first before we go up. And it could lead us down to grab liquidity from below the newly added wick here. We have liquidity here, and we have liquidity stacked here. And so if we were to go as far as hitting the broadening wedge target, was the when you see basically a divergence between the support levels and resistance, where they're kind of like spreading apart from each other, we tend to break the opposite direction of its trend. So right now we're trending upwards of a broadening wedge because we're constantly grabbing the internal local liquidity from the upside, but we're adding more and more to the downside. So the bias for these structures usually breaks to the downside, but the target is usually pretty boring. It's usually like roughly right where the structure starts. So you tend to want to try to front run these moves. And we had a front run opportunity here, and I can go over that in a moment. Yeah, we had a front run opportunity up here, and that could have helped you get in on potentially preparing for the break to the downside to front run that target. We have lots of liquidity at 102.5K. Let me just pull up the liquidity heat maps. Just like double verify that. Yeah. So we got right below the structural target. There's about $114 million of liquidity resting there at 102.867. So if we were to get the like a horizontal line, type in those coordinates, 102.867. Yeah, it's pretty much the value area low. We'll probably come down if we confirm this as resistance, get that lower low. We would strike the previous value area low that was created from a previous range from the last time we were here. If we zoom out a little bit, let's go to the hourly for a second. There we go. Yeah, so here we have this previous range bound price action. If we come down, we break this rising broadening wedge to the downside. We'd meet pretty much the value area low of this previous range right here. And from there, we could have really good confluences for reversals. But it is going to bring us to a really important, like, make it or break it moment for Bitcoin. So we got to be cautious, because if we end up continuing down lower rather than confirming a reversal through like a change of character occurrence, for example, we have a macro value area high right here at 101, 145. If we continue to go down and we break that and we see a break of structure form of acceptance, if we get that form of acceptance inside that structure, we'd lose the 50-day EMA, we'd lose the value area high, and then we would end up getting a potential rotation down to the value area low of this macro range here that we were in from November to February. But we'll have a massive barrier along the way down, luckily, that could keep us from getting a full rotation down to 93K at like 97, 96 area. But this area is a critical spot that you have to watch if we got that acceptance. If you're in a short, we could get a full-on reversal from here. But yeah, that is Bitcoin in the short term leading into a potential macro move. And this broadening wedge could be the start or the spark to that drop. So play it safe with your longs. Make sure you're always trading with your stop losses, and try to avoid cross margin if you're trading assets with high amounts of slippage or low amount of liquidity, because you don't want to get melted if we confirm acceptance into that macro value area. It'll be intense volume. It'll be insane volume. But there's so much confluence at 97K that I don't feel like we won't get that full rotation down to 93K, but you never know. So just play it safe. But locally, we're just worrying about this downtrend here. I'll talk about that front run opportunity up here really quick. We zoom in on lower time frames, like the 3-minute. We had confluence of shorts here. We were at there's a large amount of liquidity. There's a massive amount of sell walls that kept stacking and stacking and stacking, and the only one that survived was this 700 Bitcoin sell wall here. And that distribution of funds generated a head and shoulder structure. So we marked a key level here for shorts. We gave a signal on it. Was it yesterday? Days start to blend together after a while. But yeah, we gave a signal on it here. Yeah, so we wanted to break that key level. Or we could scroll up. Yeah, we wanted to break that key level, and we watched for a bounce at the value area high. We went a little bit lower than the value area high. We hit the VWAP. There was a Fibonacci confluences there, so we expected to bounce there. And then we came down. We got confluence level, so I warned everyone that we could reverse here. We had a key level at 106.23. We broke that key level, and then we were watching out for another retracement at 106.5. We got that retracement, and now we're just sitting on our hands for another setup. So we've been kicking ass lately, honestly. Now we are in a short with Litecoin, and a lot of people have been asking why we chose the spot that we chose for a short on Litecoin. So we'll go over that really quick, and then we will go over anything you guys want to look at or any questions you guys might have about trading in general. But yeah, we can dive into some other assets, because right now, yeah, Bitcoin's likely going to continue this downtrend. We just want to have us break a structure right here after a test to the VWAP. And then we'll get that likely rotation back down to 104.4. So if you're in on any trades, hopefully you're in a short bias setup, because Bitcoin's going to probably carry a lot of assets down. Just be careful. And let's go to the Litecoin chart. So we have here. Let's zoom out first. It makes more sense if you zoom out first. Zooming right in, you'll think I'm crazy for the target that we have. So if we look back, Litecoin just recently tested like this flag posture here. We hit the downtrending momentum, lost the previous value highest support shortly after rejecting off this downtrending level of interest, and we fell back down to this valley area right here. And when we got acceptance into it, and we got the reversal, it helps us play out where potential barriers might be, where the value area low is, the point of control is, the value area high is. You can use historical value area data to help assist you with your setups, even if the value area is years old. Like this one's about 25 days old. You could have value area assistance from value areas from like 2-3 years ago if we come back to revisit it. But anyways, here we lost. If we zoom in a little bit more and we switch over to the 15-minute time frame, so we lost this uptrending momentum. We have a key area of interest here, but it kind of expired. It's still an important level, so I'm leaving it there. We lost momentum here from the buyers. The pace of the buyers that kept maintaining this move along the way up and kept stacking tons and tons of liquidity along the way up. So we have this like regression trend, like bear flag kind of posture. And we lost the momentum. If we zoom in a little bit here, and we lost the momentum. And in confluence with that, we got a change of character. See how we came up? Got this low, got the higher high. We broke that level in confluence with the momentum. During that moment, we had a change of character occurrence. And then we had a pullback to retest the momentum and got a lower low. So two forms of confluences, two forms of confirmations occurred pretty much back to back, telling us that we were going to go down. And so I jumped in with a partial position here after that confirmation. And then shortly after that, because we anticipated a pullback after the buy shadow wick that we've got here off of this previous value area low, we used Fibonacci to help guide us into where we could retrace to if we wanted to add to our position, and we were to confirm that it's a strong position of strength. So at this point, we pulled a fib from this high to this low to go again, and we found that we had met confluence of the downtrending momentum with the Fibonacci level, and all we wanted to have occur is a change of character occurrence. And we got that here when we broke this level. We had a little bit of buy wall, bounced up, and then we broke right through it and got our like a strong confirmation right here. So this is when I gave the signal in the community that we were jumping in, but I already added to the position, and here I added more to my position, kept the same stop loss. And so now my average is technically roughly around here. And where we're targeting right now is once we have to be mindful of this value area high, of course, at 87.91. But if we break through that 87.91, we'll start to target the point of control, which is where our primary target is. If you got in during the signal, your R&R would be roughly a 1-to-5 risk to reward ratio. So if you're risking to lose $100, you'd be trying to gain $500 or more. So that's our primary target, is the point of control of the previous range's point control here. But if we could get an extension past this, so if we consolidate and then we break the point of control, then our next target would be 84.56. But I wanted to keep people, like this is already a pretty big target. I want to try to keep people grounded. I don't want them, getting married to their trade, expecting a lot more. So we're going to keep everyone alert around the POC. So we're going to have that as our primary target. But if we have an opposing change of character at this value area high, we got to be very cautious, especially if it comes in the confluence of the break of momentum. So we got to watch out for a potential change of character occurrence here. And if that happens, I'll probably take some off the table. I might not close the full trade, depending on the structure, but I'll likely take some off the table no matter what. But yeah, that's Litecoin. So we're in a short. We're currently bouncing off this key level here that we are just talking about. If we get a break past this, honestly, this trade I'll feel invincible after we break past this level. So 88.8 is like a big key level that we need to have broken. Alrighty, so that's Litecoin, that's Bitcoin. Is there any questions in the chat that you guys want to go over first before we move on to any TA requests or questions about trading in general? Maria's in a short position. Nice, right on. Okay, so let's start. Kyle, do you know my name, bro? You said it before, but I don't. Yeah, I didn't remember it. I'm sorry, man. You might have to say it one more time. I'll try to memorize it. Let's see. First request was go down H bar. Was it H bar? Yeah. Okay. First request is H bar from Wonder Bar. Can you look at H bar? What's the most likely top would be in this bull run? Oh, the top. You want me to try to call the top for H bar? H bar might be a tricky one, but we can go over. Yeah, some exhaustion levels and see what we can anticipate. H bar, I'm holding H bar. I got a lot of faith in it. It's just when it comes to calling tops for altcoins, it's easier to call the top for Bitcoin and then to prepare for your exit on your alts shortly afterwards. I can go over that in detail too. So we go back to the hourly. We were watching this level for an SFP. I don't know if we got that SFP. No, we did not. We got a tweeter reaction instead. Okay, so we can delete this. Kind of give me Litecoin vibes a little bit. So we have, yeah, H bar broke its downtrending momentum after bouncing off of 13,545 as a big key level from historical price action. We are now, after losing momentum from the upside from this reversal, we are now at this previous valley area here. Let me just mark this a little bit properly. We got old valley area low that we can delete. Let me just mark up this a little bit better. Yeah, this previous valley area high has been respected a lot. It's not like it's written in stone. It's not too, doesn't look too important based on the current price action. Let's see previous. But yeah, it's giving me the same kind of vibes as Litecoin, where we have this regression trend to the upside, and we're kind of like dipping into a previous valley area zone. We have some confluence for reversal in roughly the same location that we have in terms of positioning for Bitcoin. If this were to hit its measurable target at the same time Bitcoin were to hit the broadening wedge target, then H bar would likely get that reversal confluence alongside it. But that's a pretty decent drop from where we are. That's about 6-7%. I know in crypto land it doesn't seem like much, but to a lot of people, yeah, it's definitely a big drop. We're losing momentum on H bar. We just had a head and shoulders posture alongside with a break of this uptrending momentum. The measurable target for just the head and shoulders by itself is almost met. We just hit an hourly order block. You see this is the hourly candle here. And then we had that engulfing response shortly afterwards, and we generated an order block here to here. And we just tapped into it here. It's not fully mitigated, but a lot of trading rules depend on only one tap and you consider it gone kind of thing. However, there are other traders that will look at this as potential residual orders from here to here where it hasn't been fully mitigated. So if you're going to be doing stuff like that, make sure you wait for an opposing change of character as a part of the rules if you're going to be using a mitigated order block. Yeah, and right now we just tapped the previous resistance. We're getting into the valley area. We haven't got full acceptance just yet. We're very close. And then we can get from there, we can expect a potential rotation back down to this previous point of control alongside where pretty much where most of the liquidity is going to end from here. So we got liquidity stacked here, here, and here. So I would be targeting roughly around, 16,372 for H bar. Now, in terms of how far it can go for this cycle, that's a whole other story. So I really like H bar's technology. I like their nano contract system. I think because their nano contract system it's going to be very easy for developers to adopt, and even people who aren't developers can adopt and build on it relatively easy with their smart contract system. But where we can go from here, I really do depend on like Bitcoin and how it performs to be able to generate targets for assets. So I have evolving targets for the bull market based on how it is based on the condition. If Bitcoin were to just keep on sprinting along the way up, like it usually does every single cycle, if we zoom out on the daily, like every cycle, I know there's a lot of noise. Probably should choose a different chart for this. Yeah, I probably should choose a different chart for this. I'll zoom in on a different, I'll zoom in on a clear chart. But yeah, Bitcoin usually has these really big rallies. We sprint to our targets, right? And we maybe consolidate for a month and then go up. Maybe consolidate for like a couple weeks, then go up. But this cycle has been relatively unique. We've been going range bound for like we had one from February to October, and then the next one from November to February. We're having these long-term resets. We never get those long-term resets. If we look at the on-chain data, like this is an amazing tool to tell you when the market's going to be overheated, and we're almost never overheated because these range-bound moves allow people to exit the market and new investors to come in, stabilizing the price. But when we start to get overheated because people are just frothing out the mouth with FOMO, that's when the tops are usually called. This tool has helped call the top every single cycle perfectly. And once we get up there, all we got to do is wait for an opposing change of character on the daily time frame, and then you just called the top for the entire cycle. But when we have that change of character occurrence, the funds from Bitcoin flow into the network tokens. So you'll see network tokens like, for example, AVAX, Solana, Cardano. All of them will start to thrive during this period. And then the funds will start to flow from the network tokens into the degen stuff, like the lower market cap stuff. And that period usually lasts between 2 weeks and a month. But you want to front run that period as much you possibly can. And a good tool to do that with is using like the others dominance chart and in confluence with the chosen asset that you want to hold to determine when a rally might occur. So I hope that helps you out. I know that's not exactly your answer for H bar and where I think it could go, but if I were to make a guesstimation, I could see it getting to $1 to $1.20. Look, they're like two really strong psychological levels. It's where I can anticipate it to go back up. It's doing a decent reset right now, but it's slow and it's weak relative against Bitcoin right now. So we need to see some strength first before I can define any safe targets. But right now, yeah, I'll be conservative with it, but I think that it can at least get to $1.20 this cycle. And that's like from where it currently is, that's close to a 10x. From its previous high, it's like about a double. It has a relatively small supply, so it doesn't take very much money to drive the price up compared to other assets. But yeah, watch what Bitcoin does, and it will give you the answer for everything else. We have what's our next request? So we took a look at H bar. We got virtuals. So Richmond wants to look at virtuals. Virtuals, I'm going to start accumulating more of, by the way. I want to start staking it to get some free like AI agents, AI tokens, sorry. All right, so last time we were looking at it, we saw that it was getting compressed, and we have this apex point here. We talked about how it usually tends to break out 30% prior to the apex point. We got there about like 35% prior to the apex point. We maintained the downtrending momentum here. We still are. Got some negative space. We've already hit the primary key level. Let me see if we grab that liquidity. I'm just going to mark a horizontal ray. And what I'm going to watch for is to see if we grab the liquidity below the wick. And we're just above it. So I think that we could still go down a little bit lower for virtual. Let's see. Yeah, so we want to. I would feel a lot better about preparing for entering a long on virtual if we swept that liquidity first from that previous low. If we grab that, then we get a change of character occurrence. I'd be jumping in and along, and by then the VWAP should reset. So you'd have the VWAP on your back rather than going against the VWAP, like towards it. The deviation of a VWAP is confluence by itself, but if you want to have a better longer term trade, you tend to want to have the VWAP behind you when you're jumping in and along, like right below your price action. So that's what I'll be waiting for if I were to jump in on anything with virtual. We are in a spot where you want to prepare for longs rather than prepare for shorts. Any short opportunities have basically came and went. We got that head and shoulders over here, and we just kept on going down ever since. So yeah, pull back, lower low, sweep the liquidity, then higher high, generate the change character, and then you want to see it rotate back up inside this previous value area. Get that break of structure for the confirmation, and then you might see a rotation back up to its value area high. Let me update this data really quick. There we go. This is a previous value area low here. Yeah, so I gotta mark this as a previous value area low. Right now we're deviating from a local value area, so I don't want to confuse the two. When you have two value areas right beside each other, it's kind of confusing sometimes if you don't mark them properly. Yeah, so this is here, here, and here. It's all based on a previous value area data from over here. And it just helped us assist us with what we could anticipate with the active value area that was still young and forming. The POC is basically in line with the active POC. The value area high is basically in line with the previous value area high. And the value area low is very close. So you just got to watch out for, if we do get that acceptance in here, we might bonk our head off that previous value area low first and get that break of structure higher high, and then get acceptance into the active value area here. And then from there, you can expect a potential rotation to its value area high. So I hope that helps you with virtuals. Let's go down. Dab and Flow, would love to look at Solana, looking to short to 144-ish. Okay, let's take a look and see what we have for Solana. Sol. Okay, Solana. And you're targeting 144K. So I see reasoning to target around 146.5. I'll just zoom out a little bit and see what we got. Yeah, so I would undercut that a tiny bit. We have a couple barriers we need to break first before we can assume a target of 144, similar to the Litecoin trade, right? So here we're kind of flagging while trying to get acceptance back inside of this value area here, right? And we're basically at a previous value area high and getting You're just starting to get that acceptance in there first. We came into the value area, we bounced, but we never got the full lower low. So we haven't really been told yet that we're going to go to the value area low yet. But once we break that, we're going to be very quickly going to that value area low at 152. But yeah, I can't see 144 or 146 being hit unless we get a break of structure into that previous value area first. And that starts at 152.47. So if we come up, retest that, and then get a lower low, then we can get that full rotation down to 146. And then we could wick down to like 144 from there. But I would have your target, your final target being around 146. Because at that point, we could get an opposing change of character and start to reverse back up. But we take it one step at a time. And right now, the primary step that needs to be made is like this here needs to be broken. If we zoom in lower time frames, like the 15-minute, we got our previous value area high here. Let's mark that. I'm going to hold control, click drag to clone it. We got the value area low. Hold control, click drag, clone. And then we got our previous point of control. So we just got to bounce up that previous point of control, coming up, probably hit our head off the value area high. You want to have that lower low to give us that higher probability of breaking the momentum. So the momentum here, I don't know how strong it is, but so you have to look at the order books to see if there's a lot of buy orders there. If there are, then you can anticipate for us to get another potential rotation back up inside this little micro range. But if we get that structure below the POC, our probability of breaking is going to be pretty high. And then from there, watch the liquidity from this. Watch the liquidity stacked from here. You get 2 points here that didn't sweep each other. But after that, yeah, rotation down to 153. And that's step one. And then step two is that break of structure for acceptance into here to get that target that you have in mind down there. So I hope that helps you out. But that's how I'd be treating the trade. You have a few things that you need to set alerts for. Like that previous value area low, I'd set an alert there. But it all depends on where you've entered. If you've entered up here, then you're pretty much golden for a little bit. We're starting to get that like Batman head and shoulders kind of behavior. So if we confirm that flag, then we should get that rotation down. Alrighty, so that's Solana. That's virtual Litecoin. How's Litecoin doing? Oh, flagging again a little bit. Nice. I know a lot of people hate it when assets start to go against you a little bit, but you got to think about your barriers, right? We have the supply concern here. So if you're in like a long, for example, down here, you'll be watching this like a hawk. So here, we could lose our momentum, then come down, get that break of structure, and that helps you move your stop loss into the profit zone when stuff like this happens. So pullbacks are necessary in order for you to secure your capital faster. That's the kind of mindset that I wish people would have if they see something come against you. You wouldn't be fearful, you'd be thankful, because then you'd have more structure to guard your capital. Okay. I did. Okay, cool. And you look for berries along the way. I built up a full position after Boxster check. Nice. Right on. Cool. All right. So you look at the cubic chart from Zero on Twitter. I think that's our first Twitter or X comment that we've had since we started going live here. Nice. Congrats, Zero. You're the first person to comment. Yeah, let's look at cubic, see how it's doing. So cubic. Last time we looked at it was yesterday. I don't remember if we had any key levels for cubic yesterday. We'll find out. Oh, we got some relative strength on cubic. Let's see. So yes, we had 2 key levels because it was consolidating in an awkward spot. We need to have this broken for a short, this broken for a short-term long to the ascending resistance against the value area high. So we thought we could potentially get that full rotation up, but this point of control has been a pain in the butt for cubic. for over a year now. This is a previous POC from a macro level. If we zoom out on the daily, just so everyone got a better understanding, we had this range bound price action from here to here for about 140 days. It generated a really strong point of interest where people were accumulating. So it became an area of resistance when we came back up to it. And now we've just been constantly fighting against it since we've been here. It's been a battle against the 200-day EMA and the macro point of control. And now that they just generated a 200 EMA on like a lot of the bigger charts like gate.io, some people are using it for algorithmic trading. So you might see some bot responses as we get closer to around, like, what is it, 17 parts per million, 17.6. We zoom in lower here. So we had that good move down. We bounced off a previous value area low, came back up, got a little bit lower, swept the liquidity from below these lows here and here from this. And now we just got this really strong V-shaped recovery recently. And this is what I mean by it having some relative strength. Everything is kind of falling down where Cubic is like doing extremely well and pumping to the upside. So it might have some relative strength from some news. There might be some kind of news event going on. Maybe it got listed somewhere else. But yeah, we're above the that point of control that we were worried about before. And we got a little bit of a pullback. And what we want to see, so to make sure that this point of control is being honored as support, is just that higher high for the break of structure. So all we need is that higher high. And then we confirm the point of control as a form of support. And then from there, we are in a high confluence short zone, but we could potentially get a rotation back up to this order block. So I'll be watching where this liquidity here could be stacked for a potential rotation back up to here. If we get that break of structure, that's where I would be targeting next. And that's from where we are, about 5-6% move. I don't know if we'll get that full rotation up to the 200 EMA. We've always been getting undercuts to it, but let's see what happens. Nothing that I could tell you to take action on yet. Like I don't like recommending people to jump in on longs after we had an aggressive pump like this. Even if we get that break of structure, I'd rather just stay in existing trade and use it as a sign to potentially rotate your stop loss. But if we get a higher high and then we break the point of control, that could potentially give you a great short setup to target back down to this previous value area low. But that's Cubic. So yeah, I got the bear scenario and the bullish scenario. They all kind of come close to each other. I just don't like trading near a point of control because when you get those confirmations, sometimes the point of control acts like a magnet. And you think we're about to get that continuation, but then it ends up helping induce liquidity for a change of character for sell side liquidity, and it drops it down. I don't know if Cubic has really good order books, but I'll be watching those order books like a hawk in a scenario like this to see if there's maybe a sell wall here that could induce that reversal. If there's no sell wall, then I feel a lot safer about that continuation up to that 15-minute order block at least. Back to Bitcoin. Just want to take a look and see how it's doing against that VWAP. We want that lower low because Litecoin is one of those OGs that uses a lot of Bitcoin for its pairing reserves or pairing liquidity. So if Bitcoin drops, Litecoin is going to drop with it. And Litecoin is positioned for a drop right now. So we'll have that additional confluence if we get that break of structure on Bitcoin. Okay. Andrew Cameron saying he's been staking virtuals, collecting daily points. And then once you get the free agents, just stake them also. Just hit new one. Just new one hit. Oh, cool, man. Yeah, it's kind of like getting free scratch tickets. I was talking about that with you guys in the community call. When you get free airdrops from other assets, not all of them are going to be winners, but they're free. So what's the risk, right? Okay, so we got Solana, we did Cubic, we did Litecoin, HBAR. We got a SUI request from Jeff. Let's take a look at SUI. Okay, we looked at that today. Yeah, we looked at today. Okay, this morning during the trade hunting call. Yeah, so it's getting squeezed against this downtrend momentum. We just lost this ascending channel. We had like a regression trend where we kept taking liquidity from the upside, but adding liquidity to the downside, right? And now we're starting to come after it, right? We just hit where I would consider the measurable targets of this regression trend. So here, I'm expecting a potential squeeze against the point of control where we can, this is a really good area of confluence for an SFPs. So we come back down, prepare for an SFP. That could be the front run to the change of character occurrence. And if we get the change of character occurrence here, simultaneously, you break momentum and simultaneously you get a break into the valley area again. And then once you get that break of structure, after we get acceptance in the valley area, or for acceptance in the valley area, we get that rotation back up to the valley area high. So I would be positioning myself for longs with SUI. I know everything else is kind of seeming bearish, but you'll notice that SUI has some relative strength. So if everything drops hard, SUI sometimes drops really slow during those times. And then when they start to reverse, SUI chases alongside it really quickly. And the more you trade assets with relative strength like SUI, the more you're going to get used to that kind of stuff. We get 15-minute time frame. We zoom in a little bit on SUI. We've got a head and shoulders posture. We're going against the VWAP. We just hit momentum. We're very, very likely going to drop very soon. So if we get the horizontal ray out, we have a key level right here at 321.53. Let's zoom in on the 5-minute. We have lots of wicks here, so I want to see if there's any key levels in the 5-minute. It will be lower level, but yeah, the 5-minute's safer. Sorry for coughing there. We got that clear head and shoulders posture. The measurable target looks like it's going to be hitting directly to that previous point of control. Yeah, right here. So I'll be waiting for, it looks like we're getting a little bit of a pullback. We already have 2 candles, which is nice. So if we get that lower low with a 5-minute candle close, you can use that recent pullback, or you can use this high here for your stop loss guard. I would prefer, if you're going to be using any stop loss guard, if you want to make sure you're increasing your win rate, so long as the R&R is there, I would try to use the VWAP as your guard right now for this setup. But the R&R might not be there for a scenario like that. Yeah, so you might have to play at a little higher risk and use the new high that's generated before we get this low created. And you'll get a 1 to 3-ish. I might take this during the live. It's a little awkward shorting from a deviation of value area low, but this is clear. Yeah, this is like picture perfect for a short, other than this positioning. So this would act like a confirmation of a rejection off the value area low. When we come up and retest those value areas, this would be like a front run to a potential breakdown below here. Three minutes left on the candle. You don't want to jump in just because it got below it. You want to wait for the candle to close. And sometimes that hurts your R&R a little bit, but price acceptance is insanely important. If you want to make sure you're getting in on a position of strength, don't get in just because we got the change of character from the wick, or don't get in just because we got below a key level with a wick. You want to have the actual price acceptance. So in this scenario, if you're trying to risk lose $100, you'd be trying to gain like $330 roughly, other than the fees, of course. So don't go crazy with leverage on this one. 0.31% pullback. So you could use like 100x technically, but that's only if you're trying to reduce your margin. Don't try to amplify your account growth by throwing AP in your entire account and using 100x. So this is why we wait for that price acceptance. You never know if we're going to get that liquidity sweep right here and then start to retrace a little bit further more. How do you know 3 minutes? Can you give me TA on Pepe, please? Yeah, we can look at Pepe. But my yeah, 100x leverage is your favorite part. So there's a time and place for 100x leverage, but people use leverage improperly. They think of it as a tool to multiply their account size. But what you're supposed to be using leverage for is to fragment your account margin into your position and then have it act like your account size. So that's when you're risking a lose, when you're managing your stop loss, you want to be consistent as possible. Like pick your budget based on your account size. I usually recommend like 1% of your account. So if you're trading with a $10,000 account, you risk to lose 100 to try to gain 200. When you get your account to $15,000, then you risk to lose $150 to gain $300 or more, right? Yeah. So we got a little bit of time left on this. What's Bitcoin looking like for confluence on that? Yeah, Bitcoin's looking like it's trying to confirm off the double top VWAP. So we have some confluence with Sui. Sui's got a lot of pairing liquidity with Ethereum. And Ethereum's got tons and tons of pairing liquidity with Bitcoin. So BTC influences Ethereum. Then Ethereum influences Sui. So it's got like that on-chain effect. And on the 24th, we're doing a call with the community, and we're going to be making our own token together. And that way I can show you guys like how assets get listed, how their prices get chosen, how pairing liquidity is made, how pairing liquidity influences the price. You have a really good understanding of how assets behave after we do that call. Like I promise you, it'll help a lot. So if anyone's interested in jumping in the community just to jump on that call, I promise you're going to learn a lot. It's probably going to be about a 2-hour, maybe 4-hour long call, but I also think that leverage, like a gas pedal, A+ setup, increase leverage reasonably. Anything less, take foot off the gas. Yeah, I wouldn't think of it leverage that way, but you can think of your margin that way, like what you risk to lose, like the Litecoin trade setup, for example. All right, we just confirmed on the 5-minute for Sui. So if you jumped in here, stop loss guard just above the local high. It's at 322.11, targeting the point of control down here. And this is going to act like a magnet. Speaking of which, if you're going to be jumping on a trade, let me help you out with that. Get the magnet tool out. This bad boy increases win rates right here. There you go. All right. All right. We'll come back and visit this later. We'll get a downtrending momentum drawn. And we'll come back for this later. Kyle, did you do your hair today? Thanks, man. Shaggable? Alex Crypto is in the house. I got my hair done yesterday with the kids. The kids really badly need a haircut, so we went to. I just got mine done at the same time. You're set up on this, yeah. If you're gonna be, so we have them on the chart. I know it's tough to see on your guys' side. Stop loss will be 3.2211. Target is 3.1774. And we can have more breathing room with your stop loss, but don't go too far in terms of the R&R. This we got not a really strong guard, but we have a stop loss guard from this pullback here in the break of structure currents. Our technical invalidation point is up here. If we got here, we're not coming down. In fact, we'll be likely going up quite hard. Okay, so let's leave that. We can leave this chart all over here to the side, and we'll come back to it. The magnet has powers. Yes, it does. Yeah. Let's go to our next request, and then we can go from there. So not coin, we got XRP request. So let's look at XRP and then look at Notcoin. I think XRP would. My brother jumped in an XRP trade the other day. I think it was yesterday. Where's our XRP chart? I swear we had one. Oh, there we go. Last time we looked at XRP was May 29th. What were we looking at? We were hoping for a long. It never confirmed. Okay. We had this descending falling wedge structure. We didn't like that it was near the point of control. I wouldn't have entered that anyways. But they were kind of like, for anyone who was in any active positions, they were kind of hoping for that continuation up. So let's update the fixed range to include all the data. We came down to our little confluence zone here. We had a bounce off of previous momentum. We got this is the 4-hour time frame. Let's zoom in a little bit. You got this descending triangle, basically a pennant posture here. Must have had more liquidity to the upside because it looks like we were coming up. Got acceptance back inside the structure. It could be coincidental because we had a double bottom here where we got a retest to and a higher high. So we had that break of structure continuation. And now we're kind of like fighting against that downtrending momentum again. And that could suppress the price down. Let me just delete this. It's easier for you to visualize like the pathing. So here, we could be hitting our head here to come right back down to where we started into this little demand zone here. This area has been fully mitigated, so it's not going to be nearly as reliable as last time because we had some liquidity that was resting from below it. And we scooped it all up and then we ran up with it to the upside. And now it looks like they're exiting their positions against this supply concern right here. So here you would mark a box expressing concern for the supply. And then you'd wait for confluences against it, like a change of character occurrence, like here, like when we came up, higher high, generate a new strong low, broke that strong low. And then from there, you could have entered a short stop loss guard here and target. I would mark this whole area right here as a valley area. And then watch it as a potential target along the way down. We do have a front run area that we have to be concerned about. Oh, gotta mark that properly, sorry. Because we have a little demand zone here. It's not too strong. Let me just pull up this for a second. Okay, we're going to mark right here. So we have some confluences here we got to watch out for. Previous little, oops, my bad. Just watch out for opposing changes of character in this level because it could draw the price back up. But if you got in from this change of character occurrence, your stop loss is going to be heavily guarded. You could rotate your stop loss down here. We got this descending broadening wedge kind of posture. So what you kind of want to see is a break of structure below 221 to kind of like mitigate that risk and then get that full rotation down to 217.96. And if we get a close inside this valley area, then we can start getting that full rotation down to 214. But ultimately, I would be targeting way down here. But down there is where you want to prepare for potential longs. It might get a little bit lower than this area, but yeah, I'll let you guys know if you reach out to me in the Discord and ask me to do TA on XRP. I'll let you guys know when a long opportunity will occur. Because we want that full rotation down to the valley area low for better setups for longs. It's been really lucrative looking for setups on XRP. This like 30% range is insane. Kind of gives me vibes of like Bitcoin when, if you think about it, like if we zoom out on XRP in the macro, we're getting above like this previous high, kind of the same way like Bitcoin was at its previous all-time high, and it ranged between like was it November to February to October. So it's like trying to stabilize this previous high here, getting all those investors that got in down here out and new investors in. This range bound activity is really good for a reset to allow a continuation for XRP. So the longer we stay here, the healthier for XRP and the macro for this bull run. That's XRP. Hope that helps you out. Let's look at SUI. Got a little bit of a tiny little bounce. Let's go to Litecoin. It's starting to fall over. Let's zoom in on the 3-minute for a second. Awkward. Tweezer reactions are always kind of awkward to look at. Got the, yeah, we lost the momentum. But we really do want to just break this level here. Awkward structure. And we got the change of character occurrence here. So we're bearish on the 2-minute. It's ugly on the 3-minute. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like we're going to get that rotation down. We want that lower low. We get that lower low. Below 88.80 is a key level that we want to have like a 15-minute candle close below. If we get a 15-minute candle close below this, then we're going to be golden. Our Litecoin trade will basically invincible at that point. Okay. Notcoin and AI XBT, and then we had a Pepe request. Okay, so let's look at Notcoin. I doubt I have a Notcoin chart, so I'm not going to bother looking. So I'm just going to Notcoin. Not listed on very many things. Let's take a look at it on OKX. Ooh. And I can see why they call it Notcoin. Let's check a look at something else. Is there a ticker? There we go. Let's look at Binance. That's better. There's actual liquidity here. Oh, we did TA on it. Okay. So we did TA on this thing before. Not very much of it because it's kind of young. So we broke downtrending momentum that held it down from 1 penny. Now it's worth a fraction of that. What did we drop? We dropped from this momentum has been keeping it down for an 81% drawdown. That's insane. We got to mark our previous levels. Now, I don't know the tokenomics of Notcoin, so I can't tell you if there's any inflationary impact that's helping cause this drop. But if there is nothing to do, if it's nothing to do with the tokenomics itself, then it could be from the ICO event. A lot of asset creators tend to give a little bit too much of their, they don't contribute enough liquidity for the amount that they give in their ICO event. So we tend to see a massive correction every single time the ICO is over. It's better to buy an asset after the ICO than it is to buy it during the ICO because you can actually get lower prices than the majority of people if you're really interested in something like that. So right now, Notcoin is at a value area low. The age of this value area low is about 121 days. We do have micro value areas within this, like for example, like here, 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 and so on and so forth, and here that we just had. So this is more of a macro key level that we've got to watch out for. We are building a bear flag, kind of like everything else is. So we could be coming down, just like we saw with Litecoin, kind of like flagging our way back down. We're kind of flagging our way down. If we come down, grab the newly added liquidity. We prepare for a potential SFP here. Zoom in on the 15-minute for a second. Grab this momentum. We're retesting it right now as we speak. We just had to confirm it first as resistance. We got the 15-minute change of character currents here. We got a pullback to the fib level here. So if you're in a situation, this is just like the Litecoin trade in a sense where you get the change of character occurrence, but you don't like the R&R. What you could do is you can wait for the opposing change of character, like we just got right here. And during that moment, you can establish that as a low. And when it's established as a low, you can grab from the high, the local high, to that low to give yourself a Fibonacci pull of where you can anticipate exhaustion. And here could have been a potential entry if you're not someone who likes to catch the knife, and I'm one of those people too. I don't like to catch the knife. I'd rather wait for a change of character currents after a reaction to our key level, like this box zone. And once we got that change of character currents, you can enter in around here, stop loss guard here instead of having original stop loss here. And that would put your margin better to work, and you'd make more money jumping in later than in jumping in earlier. We have momentum right here on Notcoin that we could use to help guide us on the pace of the sellers. This gives you a good idea. This helps you with a lot of things. It helps you hold your positions longer. It's a form of confluence to tell you the pace of the buyers and sellers. So if we get a change of character and we break that, then you can expect more trade participants that drive the price the opposite direction. And it helps tell you an ETA of when we could likely hit a target. So if we maintain the pace of this momentum and we're aiming for this value area low, from where we currently are, it could take us about 1 day and 1 hour to get to that level if we maintain the pace of this momentum. And so that helps you with understanding how long you could be holding your positions for. So you're not sitting in front of your desk all day long waiting for the target to be hit. Just set your alarms at key levels, guys. But yeah, if we break this low and get that break of structure for a continuation, then we're very likely going to get that full rotation down to the value area low. We do got a little bit of spot here we got to watch, but realistically, the liquidity is not going to be right against it. You'll probably see liquidity a little bit lower where the value area low is anyways. So we can get that swept here and prepare for a potential reversal down here. So that's Notcoin. We're actually in a really good spot to prepare for accumulation for Notcoin. If you're someone who wants to hold this, I don't know anything about it, so I can't give you advice on something like this. But structurally, being at a value area low is typically where you want to prepare for accumulation so you can get that rotation to the value area high. And percentage-wise, from the low to the high, this is a 40% range. So I'm not saying that we'll climb up as quickly as we usually do with this thing, because when we do get that climb up, it's about 5 or 6 days. But yeah, I'll be preparing for that continuation down, then prepare for the reversal. So that's Notcoin. I hope that helps you out. It's kind of looking like a lot like everything else. Getting that, trying to get to that value area low. Bitcoin, 15 minutes. Cool. Okay. Still maintaining this pace here. Did I go over Dogecoin? It's reaching 19 cent support right now. No, I have not yet. So we pump back up. Oh, it did go back up. Jeez. Pretty aggressive. See, that's relative strength too, because like Bitcoin barely moved. What's the others down? It's like 0.6%. Yeah, that VWAP is a good guard for your stop loss guards. If we had more structure, it would have a lot better trade. But yeah, here was the confirmation. The invalidation point's way up here. Let's go to Litecoin, see how it's doing then. Yeah, Litecoin's still doing strong. And Sui's a little monster, eh? Let's see what we have for a next request. XRP. We did XRP already, yeah. What am I missing? AI XBT. Okay. I don't think I have an AI XBT chart, so I gotta AI. Look at it on Binance. Oh, looks like we've done TA on this before. Last time we looked at it was for a short. So we had this key level here. Kind of like what we just saw with Sui, actually. We had like the head and shoulders posture, right? We had a key level here, a little awkward ascending support, but we had to break this level to confirm the break of momentum in confluence with the break of the head and shoulders key level there. We came down to our zone of confluence here for reversal. We had the 50-day EMA. We had previous support there. We had liquidity resting down there. So I remember that trade relatively well. Let's go back to send this to back so you guys can see it better. There we go. And then from there, we came back up, built a bear flag, came right back down to where we were. And we've just been range bound here for a little bit. So let's delete that. We don't need that anymore. Congrats to anyone who took that trade setup. Let's delete that. Okay, we're fighting against the previous point of control here. And the supply concern. Yeah, it's been, yeah, okay, I remember this. It hasn't generated its 200 EMA yet. It's got the 50-day EMA. It's resting against it as support. So we definitely don't want to lose this valley area. We see this valley area act as a form of resistance. We had the confluence of losing the 50-day EMA, losing that valley area, and we'll likely fall down to the previous valley area right here. So we have to mark this valley area from here to here to prepare for that kind of drop. We got liquidity resting right below this demand zone right here. That we can see a potential reversal off that previous valley area high in confluence with that liquidity zone from that demand zone there. Let's go to, there we go. Now if we zoom in, we're looking at the 4-hour right now. Let's see if we can hold this spot. So I hate trading near 50 days and 200-day EMAs, but right now we have, this is the active downtrending momentum from its high. The range percentage gap is 25%. Geez. So what I would prefer to wait for, we have a couple of lows to look at here and here, where we can get liquidity to get swept. Maybe get an SFP scenario. We can use the hourly. You can use the 15-minute. Yeah, you can use the 15-minute. The hourly looks cleaner. If we come down, this is where we prepare for the SFP or an opposing change of character for a reversal. So we got a little bit of time for it to like come down. Kind of like everything else, kind of like position to go head down towards its value area low in hopes that we get that change of character response for a reversal. That's AI XPT right now. Still range bound, but that's a huge range. So there's lots of opportunities here for people to make money on this one. Okay, the last time we were down here, got the inverse head and shoulders posture, acceptance into the valley area, break above the VWAP off the 50-day EMA. There's a crap ton of confluence there. So no matter, yeah, I could see why we had a huge reaction there. These are the kind of trade setups I love to take. And before we even got exhausted, we started seeing exhaustion here. From that confirmation to here is 13%. That's nuts. But your stop loss guards on those assets are usually pretty big, percentage-wise. All right, we're still coming down. What's Sui doing? Being rude. Might come up to retest the VWAP. Let's go back to Litecoin. Visual order, send this to back. There we go. One thing that's kind of annoying with long and short position tools is the opacity and stuff like that. So right-clicking on your long position tool, going to visual order, and then click send to back, and your candles will be in front of the tool. So the opacity doesn't like blur over, create more noise over your candles. Okay. So eGold and SPX were the next requests. Oh, Pepe, sorry. Gotta do some Pepe here. And Dogecoin. Okay, so Dogecoin was first. but I did AXBT for you already, so I'll do you next. Let's do eGold first. I haven't looked at eGold in a while. I don't think we have an eGold chart, but it's one I used to watch a lot during the last cycle. I didn't really look at this much during this cycle. Okay, so we don't have a chart for it. EGLD. Go to Binance and zoom out on the daily. Yeah, last time we're looking at it, we were looking for a potential SFP opportunity. I don't think we took it though. It was clear and easy though. Here, for example, we had a candle come down. We had a body close here on the daily, and then we got a daily SFP, swept the liquidity, swept the local liquidity, and closed back inside the range, and came up, hit the previous resistance, and came right back down. This is called a fish hook. They're one of the more difficult strategy structures to trade. Whenever we see a fish hook, it's a multi-dimensional trade formation. So you can do longs and shorts within it. So you have this equilibrium point within the structure that you watch for its break. When it breaks up, you tend to get a 40% retracement up, and then we start to come back down. In this scenario, you have to pull a. I'm just gonna see. Yeah, about 40% from its high, with 60% from its low. And then they usually tend to drop back down. Yeah. Kind of like just a break of structure continuation, basically, if you don't want to overcomplicate it. We lost momentum here on eGold, unfortunately, after losing the 50-day EMA. We came back down to this little demand zone. There could be an order block here in the lower time frames. Okay, we got back into this little demand zone here. Got a return back up. Got this ascending momentum. I'd pull a fixed range from here to here. If we fully mitigated this supply concern and then came back down and got acceptance to the value area, I would be including this into my fixed range pull. But right now I'm not. We have hit against it, came back down. So I'm going to include this data. We need to see, so we had some confluence here for a short. We got a double top break, come back retesting the VWAP. Just need that lower low and confluence with a loss of momentum. And then we can see a rotation down to its value area low again. So that's eGold right now on the hourly. So it's looking like it's prepared for a bearish move. Unfortunately, if you're long on this, yeah, just prepare for a potential reversal. Going to Bitcoin again, rotate to the 15. Still going strong down. Litecoin, looking good. Back to Bitcoin. What's next? SPX. Oh no, we got to do Dogecoin. We're going to try our best to keep as much as order. So you're looking for it to reach 19 cents and wondering if it could hold. If you want to know if it can hold, the best way to find that out is through order books and see how much strength is there. Let's see. The real confirmation comes from changes of characters near key levels like that. Do we have a Dogecoin chart? We don't. I think it's one of those assets that I refuse to make a chart for. But I'm always biased short for Dogecoin because of its tokenomics. If I ever trade this thing, I always try to find the short opportunities and wait for them rather than take the longs. It's hard for me to mentally long into something when I know it's making 10,000 tokens per minute. Here. Okay, so previous area of interest. Nothing crazy strong. So we're just holding off of this level here. We just lost the 200-day EMA. We fell right through the 50-day EMA. We had this old zone here that we were concerned about for resistance. When we were looking at this double bottom here, we were watching this as an area of interest for our TP, like if we're preparing to exit our trade early, that was why this is marked. So it's not coincidental, but it is when we came back down here, we just ended up using that value area data in confluence with these previous highs as a form of support. And the reason why I say it's not coincidental is because I would have used something like this to prepare for support anyways. But here, it's only coincidental because I haven't looked at it in so long that it tend to work out. We lost the momentum here. We got a little awkward. This guy here. We came up, hit the supply concern. So we got that mitigated. So next time we come up here, Dogecoin could have like a lot easier time to break through this neckline here. We could be potentially building a large double bottom reversal. So the next key areas of interest, we have lots of areas down here where we can prepare for SFPs. Looks like Dogecoin is actually one of those assets that might be really fun for SFP trading. But yeah, at the value area low at 18,927, this is an area of interest to prepare for those sweeps of liquidity. So if we get that sweep, if you know how to trade SFPs, this is where you're going to prepare for it. If you don't, I'd recommend using market structure to find a change of character occurrence and use that change of character to help guide you into a long. And then you can start targeting the value area high again, but this is going to be your core area of interest as a barrier along the way up. By the time we get that change of character occurrence, the VWAP will reset and be with you on helping carry the price up a little bit, or it'll help drive the price down faster. Let's see, we get the visual sent back. Change the template to short. And then down here, this is where I prepare for change of character, either off the top of this or within it. So that's how I'd visualize it. So a deviation of the value area low for a change of character, or above the value area low for a change of character after sweeping liquidity. So we're at a spot where you prepare for support, but you cannot assume support ever. Never ever assume support. Just wait for the confirmation that it's actually being validated as support. If you assume support, you'll get burned. Okay. Hey, what's up, man? We got Brian in the house. If you guys want to subscribe to anyone else, and you're looking for someone to help you with TA and stuff, Real Talk Trading just started his own crypto channel. He's one of the coaches inside the community. He does like a coaching call with the community every Monday to help you with market structure and to help you prepare yourself for the week. Can you check him out? Okay, so did we see Ethereum already? Not yet, but we got a couple of requests to do first. We got XPX and XMW, and then we can take a look at Ethereum for you. All right, so let's look at XMW, and then we'll do actually XPX I think was asked first. So we'll grab that one first, and then we'll take a peek. SPX, okay, it's still strong. We were talking about this is our key level for continuation last time at 90 cents. And I'm pretty sure we were talking about being mindful of this previous value area low, but it didn't seem to care. It jumped right through it, tried to stabilize support, but failed, came back down to the momentum, got inverse head and shoulders, came right back up. So it's doing extremely strong. So if anyone took that setup from the last time we talked about it on the 26th, congratulations. That's a awesome setup too. Let's see, zoom out a bit. Yeah, so we're at the previous highs value area. And we're trying to get that proper acceptance. I think we might have at a lower time frames. We haven't on the daily just yet, but let's see what happens in the 4 hour. Yeah, 4 hour, we got proper acceptance. We got a pullback, then a higher high. See here, we got a pullback, but failed to create that higher high. That's a lack of a form of acceptance. This is proper form of acceptance. So on the 4 hour, we got the acceptance, so we can end up potentially seeing that rotation back up to the value area high at 149.59. When we get to that Valerie high, obviously we have to watch it for the point of control along the way. But when we get up there, based on this chart, I'm assuming this is the entire history of the asset. It looks like this looks like first liquidity behavior, and we got a dinosaur here on our chart. So it's expressing that we might have the entire history of the asset on here. When we get up there, you're going to have to start watching the momentum a lot more hawkishly. So we break that momentum and confluence of being at the all-time high, 100% of holders are going to be in a profit during that time. So inevitably, we're going to see some sell pressure. So long as the buyers are not stronger than the sellers, I can see that this be an amazing spot to prepare for a short, or just prepare for taking some profits in general if you're holding this thing. But yeah, so we're just waiting for that continuation up there. Where do you not want to see break? We want to see down here. It's a level that you don't want broken at 1.067. Break that level, see it act as resistance in confluence with the loss of momentum, in confluence with the previous Valerie low acting in resistance with the Pareka structure. That positioning could drive it down as well. And then that will also help induce an early potential confirmation to a massive double top. So I'm hoping that we run up. We just need to get past that point of control, honestly. But yeah, that looks good. Congrats on that setup for anyone who took that. That was pretty clean. Pretty emotionless too, because he just went pretty much straight up. And you could use momentum here as a good guide to tell you when you want to take some profits. If you were to jump in on this one, there's a couple opportunities here. We had the break of structure here on this candle. You could have jumped in on stop loss guard below here. That's probably what I would have taken. Unless there's stuff in the lower time frame. So we're looking at the hourly right now. All right, so that's SPX. XMW. Is that Monero? No. I'm thinking of XMR. What is XMW? Are you meaning XMR? So I'm not seeing anything come up for that. All right, I'm going to look at AVAX because nothing's coming up for that. Unless it's a decentralized asset. It's not in a centralized space yet where we don't have a chart yet. It could be why it's not populating. Let's look at, I'll go back to Bitcoin quick. Litecoin. Okay. And let's open up. We have an AVAX chart, so we can pull that up here. Last time we looked at it was on the 29th. Okay. Yeah, we're last looking at a double bottom posture at a Valley area low. That played out really well. We went to local resistance and then came right back down. Really steep momentum. But now we're heading down. If we delete this, it's not helpful anymore. Oh, it's quite transparent what just happened here. Supply concern. Send it back. Template. There we go. Our momentum. Retesting it now. Just got a double top. Pull a fixed range. The current momentum is here. The pace of the sellers. So we could get that full rotation down to the point of control. We're currently dancing on top of like this double distribution, like volume shelf right here, right? We're kind of like bouncing off of that. We have a little bit of a front run to the POC from it. It could induce a reversal. We have like a lower time frame double bottom posture here. If we broke this, we would have a 15-minute change of character occurrence. Oh, we had to grab that low first. Yeah, so never mind. We got a lower time frame internal structure here. We can get that change of character occurrence, and then we have to watch this high as a barrier alongside with the VWAP. And that could, if we did break this neckline here, we could get a full rotation back up. But yeah, we have to break this first to assume this can be hit. We got to break this first for us to assume this could be hit. Right now, we could try to get a lower low, break a structure. We already got the break structure. So we just got to get below this point of control, honestly, in order for us to get that full rotation back down to with Valerie low. But breaking that at 2066 would likely bring us down to like 2040. But at this area, I'll be preparing for longs. I don't like to trade inside the internal valley areas unless there's a lot of confluence. But yeah, here is where I'll be preparing for reversals. There we go. So 2040 is where you prepare for longs. Just got to wait for that. Just like we had here, right? These are really good examples of what we want to wait for. We need price action to come down. Way better if we get that lower low. So we grab the newly added liquidity, get that change of character occurrence, and start targeting the Valerie high, right? And watch your barrier concerns along the way. Here, double bottom, pull back, lower low, scooped up the newly added liquidity, change of character occurrence, target the Valerie high. Watch your barriers along the way. And that's what we'll be waiting for again when we come back down here to maintain this range that we've been in since for the past 5 days. So basically the same age as Bitcoin's current valley area that we're in right now. Okay, 0 up next. XMW, then click the, okay, crypto tab only. I got you. Thanks, man. Just pulling data from the stock, so it's convoluting its filter. And even that, man, I still can't. Always finding XMR and stuff. We just delete. This is okay. So it's definitely decentralized. It's on Uniswap right now. Morphware. Okay, these are both the same contract. Super low market cap. You can tell by the candles here. Let's grab the daily. This guy's newly foreign populated 200 EMA. Use it as resistance. Pull a fixed range from here to here. Yeah, this thing's pretty brand new. We're coming back down to its macro valley area. It's been in here for 187 days. Had a really strong peak, unsustainable pump, and then came right back down to its valley area. Then we just got the acceptance into the valley area here when we pulled back, but barely gave you time to react. Massive candle down. So we're at a spot technically where you prepare for longs with this, but it is low market cap, so it doesn't take very many participants to manipulate the price action. So be very cautious trading this thing. And if it's on the Ethereum network only, because this is the Uniswap contract here for Morphware, just be yeah, be cautious for slippage and the gas fees on top of that. Ethereum is kind of expensive compared to the other ones. It's gotten a lot better over the years ever since it switched to the staking protocol. But yeah, here, like TA doesn't work as well as it does on assets with market makers and a large amount of trade participants. Let's just be cautious. Like the rules that I normally use may not work very well on this asset. So you have to like back test the way I trade on this asset first. But you'd want to wait for a break of momentum, change the character occurrence at these value area lows. And if it's on Uniswap, you can check for limit orders to see if there are buy orders waiting down there. And then use that as confluence to prepare for your setups after you get the position of strength. I'm just looking back here to see how well this thing behaves with market structure. It's a little dangerous, so you can't expect your stop loss to be honored. But yeah, we're definitely getting to an area of interest for this thing. So way down here at 0.00001979 is where I prepare for a potential long. If this is the only asset in the world that I could trade, that's where I would prepare. I hope that helps you out, man. But it is coming down to an area of strength. So if you're a holder and you're nervous, we're at a spot for XMW. Yeah, that might get that reversal. Okay, XPX just poo-pooed. Okay. I got you. Should we take a look? Man, I gotta get the AC running in this thing. I'm sweating. SPX. Are you talking about SPX, the token, or are you talking about stock? Okay, this thing dropped, so you're probably talking about the token. We got a 15-minute candle just teleported straight down. Got this like head and shoulders. Gave you no time to repair. And dropped 4%. Jeez. That's wild. It's because we're talking about it. Yeah, it looks like it's forming a double top here. Rotate down. Yeah, like I said before, you don't want this to break. Get that break of structure because we're losing really strong momentum. It can induce a reversal from there. But I got some confidence in this thing getting to its point of control at least. But yeah, we're at that area of interest where we can get that short-term reversal. That momentum will probably hold it up. It's been holding it up for how many days is that? 31 days. Like over a month, it's been trending up. Bitcoin, 15. How's Litecoin doing? Still doing good. We really want that lower low on Litecoin. 88.8. Yeah, 88.80. We want to break that key level for a strong continuation down. And then our next barrier will be the value area high at 87.91. AVAX and ENA. Okay, we looked at AVAX, so we can look at ENA next. I feel like someone asked me to look at that this morning. That sounds familiar. ENA. Oh man, that V-shaped rejection against the 50-day EMA. Can't spit it out. Zoom out here. We got these orange lines here, like we did TA on this before. Okay, we did TA on this a long time ago. So here we're preparing for shorts back in October 2024. So our longs here in October 2024. We want to have that break of this neckline level after bouncing and confirming momentum. And it's been on an uptrend ever since. I must have gave advice on this because I didn't take this myself. And then up here, we're preparing for shorts. And we got we wanted to have this key level broken. We never came back down to it until we swept it as liquidity here for the SFP, came up. And then, then we had this level here. Sec here. Zoom back to where we are. We delete the noise that we just got here. It looked like it was trying to form a double bottom. The confidence was slowly coming back. But we grabbed all the liquidity that was added from these lows right here. And pretty much fell right back down to where it started before that massive rally. Just press undo on all those gains. This one's a little awkward. See, we grabbed this. So I'd want to conclude up to here. Yeah. It's a little sensitive. I'll mark just the active range here first. Because this is a whole zone of interest anyways. We can just mark this whole box zone. I'm going to prepare for change of character occurrences within this area. We just hit the 50-day EMA, where we have our back against the VWAP, so we have more reason to come down than we do coming up. We could pull a fib from this low to this high. Let's grab the proper template first. There we go. And zoom in. So from the low to the high, our area of confluence in terms of like a Fibonacci retracement, like this area could be an area of interest for potential longs. So we just got to wait for the opposing change of character here and wait for a potential reversal. It could happen lower. Like we want to have this liquidity grabbed before coming up for a better, more macro change of character occurrence when we break this in confluence with the 50-day EMA. But yeah, right now, locally, it's just looking weak, and it's going to try to come down to its value area low. Kind of like everything we just spoke about. Everything's on the lower side. Trying to position yourself for a strong reversal. How big is this range? This range is about 34%. That's nuts. Last time we were here, let me just take a look how we behaved last time. We got a break of this momentum. It's really broad. We got some negative space. Built a double bottom here. We got our change of character occurrence here. Then we fractalized and built a larger double bottom. Bounced off like a fib level from here to here. So we didn't like the R&R during this scenario. You wait for the opposing change of character internally, which happened like right here. And then during that moment, you could pull from the low to the high to find a location where you can define a potential reversal. So all your rules are met here for the reversal, but it doesn't mean we can't pull back first before going up. So you can use that in confluence with patience. You're going to have patience for stuff like this. So if you got the confirmation that you want, like the change of character occurrence at a value area low, then, and you don't like the stop loss seem kind of steep or something like that against your supply concern, which is like right here, right? Because you always got to watch your immediate barriers before you jump in on a trade. We just move that to the right. And during that moment, yeah, once you get that posing change of character, you can confirm this as a local top, pull the fib from the low to the high, and then you have yourself a level that you can use to prepare for a continuation entry. And that could have been a great setup to prepare for that run up. So you kind of want to have the same kind of thing happen over here. If you don't always get the Fibonacci entries, but you kind of want to have that break lower low for that low time frame change of character occurrence to front run the higher time frames. In confluence with patience. Yeah, exactly. Are we bouncing back in Bitcoin? Let's take a peek. We just went off chart for a little bit. Let's go to the 15. We don't have any signs of strength yet. Zoom in the lower time frames. 5 minutes looks a little stronger in the 5 minute. Not a proper pullback here. We got a little bit of a 3-minute double bottom, but we broke its neckline here. If we go back up, VWAP may weigh it back down. But yeah, I'm still bearish on it. We might, even if we get a bit of a pullback up, I'm still ultimately bearish on it coming back down here. Okay, well, guys, I gotta head out. Let's see what we have. Virtuals also gapped down for its current 15-minute candle. Nice, let's take a peek at virtuals. Oh, good, nice. Okay, so we're not getting that SFP, but we're getting good positioning for virtuals. Get that low. So now we just got to wait for the confirmation reversal. We're deviated away from the previous value area here, and we deviated away from the active value area. Unfortunately, we use the active value area as resistance. And when that occurs, you anticipate for it to rotate back down to a previous value area, which is right now. We're at a previous value area high. So here we prepare for the opposing change of character for reversal. But if we instead get acceptance into this value area with a break of structure, then we could rotate down to its point of control and potentially down to its value area low, which I don't have marked for some reason. But we have the 50-day EMA in our face that we have to worry about. So yeah, looks like virtuals is kind of leading its drop a little bit. Just gotta wait for that reversal confluence. Litecoin, how you doing, bro? Still chilling. Yeah, this trade could take a few days. If anyone took the Litecoin trade, the momentum suggests that it could take up to 2 days or about 24 hours for it to get to, a day and 2 hours for it to get to the point of control. So it's a long one. Front running it on 2 minutes can be great if we get that. All we need is that 88.8 break. And we're set. Can you talk about karma? Yeah, we can talk about that real quick. Let's pull up the karma chart. I always got this karma chart open. Okay. So karma. We're still in that uptrend right now with karma. So here is our value area for karma that we're kind of in. So it's going to be just pull. I'm using Dex Screener right now for karma. From here to here. We had that redo your settings every time you're on here. Style. We'll just mark the developing value area. We'll use yellow lines. There we go. Okay. So karma right now, we've just double bottom again. This is actually really noisy. One sec. Just the opacity, make the lines a little thinner. There we go. Okay, so we're at the value area low. This is the value area low right here. Change this to white so you can see it better. And every time we get to the value area, we get these double bottom structures. It's off of a previous all-time high here that we're trying to hold as support. We get a lot of buyers come in here, and then we get a rotation to the value area high, and that's where we tend to get some exhaustion. So a lot of whales are being shaken out as we get to these highs, which is nice because it's a young asset with about, I think there's about 15 to 20 whales to worry about, but a large amount of them got out here at a lot of people's average. We came back up to 11 cents. Right now we're at 6 cents, and our most recent double bottom so far has pumped us up about 20%. And where I'm starting to anticipate exhaustion is around 0.08. So roughly, like, yeah, 8 cents up here. We got to get past this point of control at 0.694 and about another 25% run to the other side of this range. This range is a 50% move, so people have been milking it quite a bit. But the every time when there's a Karma Flux airdrop, it pumps the valuation of it because it buys Karma from liquidity pools to provide, to basically just pump the asset to provide the airdrops given to all the holders. So this thing gets stronger and stronger and stronger because of its tokenomics, constantly burning assets, constantly burning tokens every time there's a transaction occurrence. So it kind of works in opposite to a lot of what you're used to seeing on exchanges, where the token supply constantly goes up to distribute rewards. But this one doesn't need that because it's using a tax system to generate the rewards. So it's able to reduce its supply while in Confluence giving rewards, which is pretty unique. So yeah, I think this thing's going to run up another 25% before we start seeing that true exhaustion. We might get a continuation up. There is a big upgrade coming out in less than a week for Karma, so that could help provide a boost as well to bring it to higher prices. And it does look like it's trying to build a massive double bottom right here. We'll see what happens when we get to the Valerie high at 8 cents. But yeah, that's Karma. ETH. BlackRock sold Bitcoin to buy ETH. Will that matter? Well, BlackRock cannot sell all of its Bitcoin. It's illegal because they're Ethereum, they're ETF providers. Any ETF provider cannot legally sell their holdings when they're holding it on behalf of the ETF buyers. So it might be selling some of its personal stake for Bitcoin, but personal stake of Bitcoin for Ethereum, but they're not doing it of anything from their actual ETF holdings. It's just a short-term play. Ultimately, there's a lot more institutions getting involved with Bitcoin. So whatever BlackRock sells will just be a short-term impact. It's a smart play for them to sell at a Valerie high. Like, a lot of people should be selling Bitcoin at these highs. If you think of it in the macros perspective, being at a new all-time high, it's typically better to sell at an all-time high than it is to sell at a loss, like a majority of people usually do. It's looking good. But yeah, like I said before, what we don't want to have happen is this daily break here and acceptance of this Valley area and confluence of losing the 50 EMA, because then we could fall down to 96 to 97 area. And then if we lose that, we'll go down to 93, where I will be preparing for a massive long position around 93 if we get down there. As if we get down there, of course, but yeah. Okay, but yeah, guys, I gotta head out. I gotta work on some extra stuff really quick within the Discord before I clock out for the day. If you need help with anything, again, reach out to me in the Discord, and I'll do my best to get to you as soon as possible. I prioritize the server over my DMs, and I'm saying that because, like, I want to be able to answer questions that everyone can see and that everyone can learn from, rather than it being an isolated lesson inside the DMs. Plus, I want to protect you from all the impersonators that are out there, because there are, like, as soon as you join any like server that I'm in, you'll get like 5 or 6 fake Kyles trying to message you. I will not ask you for fun, so watch out for those scammers, okay? Do you think the relative unrealized charts is still valid with ETFs? 100%. Yeah. I think what's going on because of the ETFs is that it is helping create resets for extensions that we're not used to having with Bitcoin. So, yeah, it's definitely still relevant. It's not something that can be invalidated. The unrealized profit and loss charts is based on it's using APIs to track everyone's profits. So that's how it's able to track people's when things are overheated is defined by the amount of P&L everyone is in. So you cannot, it's not something that can be broken, luckily. Now, it can be something that could be adjusted in the sense where we're not going to be seeing it get overheated very often anymore because of the amount of institutional control, but it is still an amazing tool to help define potential exits and entries in a macro scale, like super macro scale. You'll get the absolute best investment opportunities no matter what down here when we're in the opportunity zone, like at the 0 level. Because at that point, people are holding at a loss. The majority of holders, and typically it's over 50% of holders are holding at a loss down here. And you have proof of that by using this chart in confluence with the supply and profit and loss chart here. So here you can monitor each time we were at those low points, what was the supply at during that time? And every single time it was below 50%. So you can use that confluence to tell you when to prepare for buying. But the main thing you want to have happen on the charts after you see this in your on chain is that daily change of character occurrence to help guide you into knowing you're getting into a position of strength, and so you can have a good stop loss guard to ride it all the way up. But this is best for position trading, for like trades that you'll be using for holding for over a year. So if you don't know how to manage a position with the funding rate fees with a leverage position, then I would just stick to using this for spot buys and spot sells. Because it is kind of a headache sometimes to constantly put funds aside to fund your trade. Because my last trade I closed, I got in at 16.9K because of the on-chain analytics, but I got out because of the fees and not because of the data. I wish I could hold it, but at the time, I was not nearly as well off as I am now. So here, when I got in down here, I got to clear this up. When I got in down here, I closed half my position here, got 7 Bitcoin, and then I closed the remaining position here, and it was roughly around like 12 Bitcoin. But it was mainly because the fees were like $250 per day to keep the trade going. The fees just went, yeah, they basically doubled. It was costing me on average like $80 per day, so I was like scalping to keep the trade open. And then when it got to like $250 per day, I'm like, screw this. Closed it, moved the Bitcoin to a cold wallet storage, and then started scalping with a $10,000 account and swing trading with a $100,000 account. So if I were to try to hold that trade through all of this, that would have cost me a fortune. So luckily I didn't hold it for very much longer, because I would, at that point, it would cost you more money than what you're kind of making from the P&L. That's nuts. But yeah, I'm just holding the rest of it until we get to the overheated zone. I'm going to watch the 1.74 level carefully just in case. If we get an opposing change of character here, I might close some of my position and then reopen when we get back down to like 0.79. Because we do have a lot of institutional manipulation going on when we get to these levels. All right, guys, I got to head out. Reach out to me in Discord if you need help with anything. I usually say bye 3 times before I actually leave. But yeah, have a great day. Just want to get that continuation down. Our Litecoin trade's still looking good. We just want to get that lower low is what we really, really want at 88.8. And then we're set. Then we can start seeing it get to that value area high. All right, guys. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.